My friends, we're in the heart of comfort food season, and we're making a legit Bobby-approved chicken pot pie, loaded with chicken thighs, vegetables, and topped with an almond flour keto biscuit. Everything's happening in the Flav City cast iron pan, so essentially it's a one-pan wonder. I have just over 3 pounds of chicken thighs here, boneless, skinless. I'm gonna sear them and get them nice and golden, but before I do that, I wanna make a little spice rub here. I have some ground thyme. I'll add about a teaspoon, some onion powder, a teaspoon, and some garlic powder, a teaspoon also. It's very nice to use these spices because I'm gonna use the same exact ones in the biscuits later on. I'll give that a good mix. First, dust my chicken thighs, which are my favorite cut of chicken. I'd never understand why people love boneless, skinless breasts more than thighs. The thighs have a tad more fat, but so much more flavor, and they're cheaper than breasts too, so it's a no-brainer for me. And then a good dusting of the spice rub. This is the Flav City cast iron pan. You'll notice that number one, it's enameled, so you don't have to season it. You can wash it with soapy water, not strip away the seasoning. And the walls are double thick, which helps with heat retention. And the helper handles make it easy to go from stovetop to the oven. The fat I'm using is grass-fed ghee. I'll add about a tablespoon to the pan. Get the chicken thighs in the pan. I'm gonna do this in a couple batches. I don't wanna overcrowd the cast iron pan. Dust with some more salt on the second side. And I'm gonna crank the heat up just a little more because something new went in the pan. And then throw down the slider guard. While the chicken is searing, we gotta get cutting some vegetables here. I've got beautiful wild mushrooms, celery, onions, and carrots. I'll take the Flav City knife and go to town. For the onions, put your fingers on top, make some planks, put your fingers back, make some sticks, and then make one more cut. You get a nice uniform dice. Spill out your mushrooms here. You can use cremini mushrooms if you want. I just love these assorted wild mushrooms. They have massive flavor here. Take the stems off of any. Just give them a rough chop. These are the stems of the shiitake. They're very rubbery, so you want to get rid of those. And just slice them thin. We've got some beautiful rainbow carrots. I don't bother peeling carrots. I like the nutrients on the skin, and I'm way too lazy to actually take the time to peel them. I can use my spidey senses here in the kitchen and can just hear that the chicken's ready to flip. Let's do that. This is why I use a splatter screen. Just saves the cleanup. Beautiful. That color is gonna add massive flavor. A couple more minutes. We'll take a few ribs of celery here and give those a nice chop also. So the nice thing about this dish is, yes, it's very meaty and comforty, but it's got a boatload of vegetables in there. It's relatively low carb because of the biscuits, but nobody's gonna know. They're gonna scarf it down and ask for seconds. All right, veg chopped. Let's get the chicken out. Chicken looks good. I'll take the first batch out and put the second batch in here. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Bobby's putting the seared chicken in the raw pan. It's okay, the chicken's still raw in the middle, and everything is going back in the pool very soon to cook for another 45 minutes, so there's no risk of salmonella or anything. Sprinkle of salt, splatter guard, back on. Second batch of chicken looks proper. We'll get that out. Now the advantage of browning the chicken is look in there. Those are what the French would call fond. I call them sticky bits. There's so much flavor in there, and now when I take the bench scraper and put all the vegetables in there, to cook for about 20 minutes, tons of flavor is gonna release. So all the veg go in, a good pinch of salt, 2 cracks of black pepper. And back on the heat she goes. If you haven't picked up some of the Flav City cookware, talk about essentials for holiday cooking season, presents for Christmas, Hanukkah, all that stuff, FlavCityCookware.com. Let's do 15% off site-wide with promo code COMFORT. You can get the cast iron pan. You can buy the whole set, the 19-piece non-toxic set. You can buy individual a la carte pieces like my non-stick ceramic non-toxic pan. All of it's top quality. The knife has 67 layers of Damascus steel. The cutting board is made of Brazilian teak. The accessory kit has all the handy gadgets and the oven-proof gloves so you don't burn your wrist during turkey season and roast season. FlavCityCookware.com, 15% off anything you want, including the entire essential set with promo code COMFORT. Grab something, you're gonna love it. Check out the vegetables back in the pan. They're getting nice and soft. Meanwhile, I'm chopping the chicken. I wanna get it into small bite-sized pieces before I chuck it back into the pan. Chopped chicken goes in the cast iron. Frozen peas go in, and 2 cups of chicken bone broth. Then gently give it a good mix up here. Once that comes to a simmer, we're gonna cook it for about 15 minutes. In the meantime, we can work on the almond flour biscuits. This is my version of a Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuit, which I think I had when I was 16 years old after a trip to Great America, but a Bobby approved version, and it's keto with almond flour. So bust open the bag from Costco. I'm gonna double the recipe. So I need 4 cups total of the almond flour. Remember, almond flour is not the same as almond meal. The meal has the skin of the almond, you don't want that. 4 teaspoons of baking powder will be the leavening agent, which helps the biscuits rise. We'll spill in some garlic powder, about 3/4 teaspoon. Same amount of onion powder, and about a teaspoon of salt. And mix it up. Dry team done. For the wet team, we need eggs. I have 4 pasture-raised eggs here. Beautiful yolks on these. We'll give that a mix up. You could use butter for this recipe. The Kirkland grass-fed butter is lovely, but back yonder, I'm melting liquid gold. Look at the color of that. That's the ghee. That's the grass-fed ghee here. It's 1 cup, I think. Let me measure. It's like butter, but better, because it has a nice toasted, nutty flavor. I'm actually shy of 1 cup. So what do? I take the other liquid gold from Italy, some extra virgin olive oil, top it off, and whisk that into my eggs. Pulling a rose here, making a mess. We'll take the wet ingredients, pour them directly on top of the dry ingredients, and gently fold it in here. But it is important to let this batter sit for about 5 or 10 minutes so it hydrates before I bake it on top of the mixture there. Just like Grandma's biscuits, we're gonna put cheese on here. This is a really good cheese. If you go to Whole Foods, they have this British grass-fed cheddar cheese here. Has an amazing flavor. I'm gonna grate about a cup of it, add it to the mixture, save some for the topping of the biscuits, give it a mix. For some greenery in there, we'll just chop a few green onions, which I don't think Rose will like to see, but she is not here to protest. Get rid of the tops. Fine slice on the green onions. Fun fact, the stumps are Desi's favorite parts. I'll save that for her for nibbling later. Into the batter and give it a mix. This makes a great side dish. Just the biscuits, by the way. For the holidays, you serve these. They're so uber buttery. Once again, no one's gonna know the difference between this and the Pillsbury ones from the cans, if they're a fan of that. Let's double check the seasoning's on point here. A little more salt. Let's push that aside and check on our chicken mixture. It's been simmering for about 10 minutes. It's reduced a little bit, but it's getting nice and juicy. This is what I want. To make the slurry, I'll add 2 tablespoons of tapioca flour. You could also use arrowroot starch. It's a good replacement to cornstarch. 2 tablespoons of water, and mix it up. Fun fact about a cornstarch or a tapioca flour starch slurry, you don't know the full thickening power until you actually bring it to a boil. So I'll save a little bit of this, make sure this bubbles, and then after 2 minutes, check the thickness and maybe add more. That's what you want. After 5 minutes, see how it kind of thickened up into a nice gravy there? This part's done. 1, 2, 3. Heave-ho! That looks proper. I smoothed it into an even surface here. Biscuit dough is rested and hydrated. I'm gonna pull out, there you go, ice cream scooper, why not? And basically I just wanna put allotments of this dough all over. It'll take 35 minutes-ish in the oven that's preheating at 350. And you'll get this nice, fluffy biscuit on top with cheese and that creamy pot pie. I know it's not the traditional one that has like the puff pastry, but I think it's better. I'm gonna try to fill up this cast iron pan from edge to edge. I think I have just enough dough. Good thing I doubled the recipe. And then with these kind of biscuits, you do want to kind of push them down a little bit. And then a little extra cheese on top. Let's get the cast iron in. We'll set a timer for 25 minutes to start. And that's a good thing because if you look around, my sink is full to the rim of dirty dishes, so I'll be busy the entire time. That was a productive 30 minutes. The pot pie has cooled. The kitchen is sparkling clean. It's time to eat. I'm gonna scoop a nice one right here. Check that out. It's really important to let this cool. Otherwise, the ragu will just kind of fall apart. Surround that with some more chicken. There it is, a big bite. Mmm. That's clean comfort food. Man, my biscuits are so good. If you don't want to make the whole thing, at least just make the biscuit recipe. It's on flavecity.com, but the chicken is really, really juicy. I could probably use a little more sauce, but man, wild mushrooms on point. All right, holidays are coming up. Make this. Recipes on flavecity.com. Get the cookware for 15% off at flavecitycookware.com with promo code COMFORT. This is yummy. You're gonna love it.